Jon Stewart was back in DC yesterday to once again fight for funding for the Victim Compensation Fund, intended to correct many of the medical issues for first responders on 9/11 for the cancer and respiratory illnesses that they developed at that time. He needs to keep going there because they can't seem to fund it for more than a few years at a time. We've got a few different clips of him. First, he addresses the fact that at this particular committee meeting that he went to, many of the members weren't actually there.
Behind me, a filled room of 9/11 first responders. And in front of me, a nearly empty Congress. Sick and dying, they brought themselves down here to speak to no one. It's shameful. It's an embarrassment to the country, and it is a stain on this institution. And you should be ashamed of yourselves for those that aren't here, but you won't be. Because accountability doesn't appear to be something that occurs in this chamber.
So you get right off the bat the impression this is strong. He takes this incredibly seriously. After the meeting, a number of the representatives had excuses for why some people weren't there. They're meeting with constituents, it's a subcommittee meeting, blah, 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 blah. They weren't there. They could have been there. They weren't there. That's the way I see it.
Okay, so the people who had their excuses for not being there, also, do they say remember, never forget on 9/11 every year? Do they post, do they have speeches? Do they put out statements saying how much they thank our first responders and remember the victims? If they say all that stuff, just skip that day too. Skip that day and say, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot today. So sometimes forget, only when I'm talking to constituents or doing something else. Be consistent. Don't use it only when it's politically helpful for you. Because by the way, oddly, if you show up and do something for our first responders, not only is it right, but it's also politically helpful.
Yeah, it would do both at the same time. And we're gonna have some numbers on how bad the problem is, but I wanna get to more of the video just because it was so good. So here's more of Jon Stewart.
The official FDNY response time to 9/11 was 5 seconds. 5 seconds. That's how long it took for FDNY, for NYPD, for Port Authority, for EMS, to respond to an urgent need from the public. 5 seconds. Hundreds died in an instant. Thousands more poured in to continue to fight for their brothers and sisters. The breathing problem started almost immediately. And they were told they weren't sick, they were crazy. And then, as the illnesses got worse and things became more apparent, well, okay, you're sick, but it's not from the pile. And then, when the science became irrefutable, okay, it's the pile. But this is a New York issue. I don't know if we have the money.
And I just want to briefly say there, I know a very popular show recently, like the highest rated HBO show ever is Chernobyl. Have you seen Chernobyl?
No.
So Chernobyl, like broad brush, is about the response to Chernobyl, the disaster, but about governments hiding the truth of the health effects of this sort of thing. And like my girlfriend pointed that out yesterday, and I was totally, sorry, fiance, she was totally right. This is the exact same thing. They denied it and denied it year after year as people developed respiratory illnesses and cancer. And I don't know if you've heard this, but in those diseases, acting fast is really important. And so when you lose years of time, either in correctly identifying the illness or getting the money to actually do something about it, people will suffer and people will die that did not have to. And they're still doing that, by the way. He's in the room trying to convince them to stop doing it now. But it's just interesting that at a time when this pop culture like sensation, Chernobyl, is out there, like we're seeing an instance of that. You can find others, but this is one in our very recent history. But there, he says the excuses always are, this is a New York problem, we don't have the money.
It's always the way it works. And you know what? And it comes back to, and also think about how many times this president talks about how much he got a depleted military. Oh, our fighter jets, oh, our depleted military. You know what I did? I threw tons and tons of cash at it, and then it fixed. Where does the tons of cash come from? Every time we start a new war, does anybody say, we don't have any money for it? Hey, let's wait on that. Hey, let's see what we're doing first. When it comes to things like actually helping constituents, Americans, first responders, in any situation, doesn't matter. Poor folks, folks who paid into Social Security, folks who deserve health care, all of it in general, it's where are you gonna get that money from? Man, we're broke. America is broke. We're sick of throwing money at things when we don't have money for it. We have money for military, but we don't have money for this. But we start wars based off what happened after 9/11. We have money to throw money at that.
We still are.
Constantly, but still no money to throw at the people who tried to save folks.
Yeah. The official position of the US government, our politicians, and most of the media is healing people's expensive, killing people's on the house. That's basically it, and you're not supposed to question it. One more video from Jon Stewart. Just after this, watch the whole 8 minutes. It's all great, but this is particularly powerful.
And I am awfully tired of hearing that it's a 9/11 New York issue. Al-Qaeda didn't shout death to Tribeca. They attacked America, and these men and women, and their response to it is what brought our country back. It's what gave a reeling nation a solid foundation to stand back upon, to remind us of why this country is great, of why this country is worth fighting for, and you are ignoring them. And you can end it tomorrow. Why this bill isn't unanimous consent and a standalone issue is beyond my comprehension.
That's 100% right. I mean, we've already been through this multiple times, and they fund it for a couple of years, and they're like, we'll get back around to it at some point. How you would think in a country where, as we were just joking about, we never question funding for a ship or a plane or whatever. We're always raising the military budget. The idea that this is not a slam dunk, even for like crudely callous jingoistic reasons, is incomprehensible, or as he said, beyond my comprehension. But the idea that even once all the attention has been put on it time and again, that those people, and by the way, the House panel did unanimously pass it in the end. It's not done, it's not law, and we'll get to the difficulties that come, but that you have to have hearings, that you have to return to this every few years. Those people are dying of cancer. I have a feeling that those in 5 years who haven't died of it are still going to have those same health problems. Maybe we just fund it all now. Maybe we just say for these people, these first responders who are willing to go in to rush into buildings that were falling, hundreds of them died, more than hundreds, and others will be dying in the future. They always get health care, all of them. It should be right for all the humans. We're fighting for that. Every American, we're fighting for it. But at the very least, those people, how is that still a conversation that we need to return to every 2 years?
Politicians are gonna politic, right? So anytime a politician does what they're gonna do, which is ignore problems that actually face people and would help them, it's an indictment on rest of the citizens of the country that allow them to do it. So if they believe they can get away with stuff because they're like, they'll forget about it, they don't really care that much, and then they end up being right, that actually it indicts the rest of us that this can happen, and then these panels go on unfulfilled. Money isn't given to these type of situations. It means that we're endorsing that, and then after they leave and go, they actually didn't care. Let's move on. Let's put our money somewhere else.
Yeah, and at least in this case, I mean, would it have been unanimous without Jon Stewart? I'm not sure. They did the right thing, though. I want to read just 2 more quotes. The first is from Luis Alvarez, a former, is now retired detective and 9/11 first responder, who said, "Less than 24 hours from now, I will be serving my 69th round of chemotherapy. Oh man,
Jesus.
I should not be here with you, but you made me come. You made me come because I will not stand by and watch as my friends with cancer from 9/11, like me, are valued less than anyone else." And Jon Stewart said, "They responded in 5 seconds. They did their jobs with courage, grace, tenacity, humility. 18 years later, do yours." And thankfully, in no small part, thanks to the first responders who testified there, the crowd that was there, and him, they are, but passing that committee is just the first step. I have no doubt it'll pass the House. Hopefully we've got rational people in charge now, but there's still the Senate. And when asked about the legislation, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell sidestepped the issue, saying he would have to take a look at the bill.
When people say they have to take a look at a bill or I have to read it or I'm not educated on that yet, politicians when they do say things like that, it could be a multitude of things. They have read it and they don't want to talk about it. They haven't read it and they don't give a damn. Or they're just not going to get to it anyway, and they're like, "Let's just move this along. I need to get out of this press conference." I can't answer it with any kind of real backbone to it because I haven't read it yet, and you move on. So then someone should ask, "Are you going to read it this afternoon, Mr. McConnell?" I mean, when are you going to get to it then? He needs to have it in his schedule to read the bill. So those stand up to cancer things they do at the baseball games. It's a big any cancer things, and it points out how many people have actually been affected or known someone who has gone through cancer treatments or has passed away from it. And everyone has a name on a card, right? Think about it that way. The people you put on the stand up to cancer card, these politicians don't care about. This first responder went through what, 69? Going through his 69th chemo treatment. Yeah. So if you've seen any of your family members or loved ones or friends go through cancer treatments and you've seen them after chemo, during, before, and after, think about it that way. And it's been this many years after, and we're not doing anything else about it. Imagine if your friend and family that's going through all the cancer treatments, if they got it because they're too busy saving other folks' lives, and this is our response. Are you proud?
Maybe Mitch McConnell cares. We don't know yet. He's got to read it. He's got to read the details to know if we should be paying for the health insurance of these first responders. And just two quick things. I apologize. I know we're over, but remember when Ilhan Omar's comments were twisted to make it seem like she was making light of 9/11? Like how much work they did to twist those words to try to make her seem like she didn't care enough about this? Mitch McConnell, maybe he wants to give them health insurance. If that's not 100, 1,000 times worse than anything Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib ever said, I don't know what is. But I have a feeling which one the right wing will take seriously and which they won't. Finally, I just want to say, because we're talking about this right now, I miss Jon Stewart. He really is, he's one of the greats. Like combining great comedy with a broad base of knowledge, actual passion and authenticity, a guy who actually cares, who by the way, could have kept doing it. He could have cashed in any number of different ways and he decided not to do that. He passed it on to other people. He's moved to just directing small projects and doing activism on the side. Just a great guy, once again, doing the right thing. Here on the Damage Report, we talk a lot about the big banks and their ways of getting rich off the poor. They saturate the market, but there are other options. And I've got info on a socially and environmentally responsible financial institution that has no ATM fees, gives you cash back on every purchase. They even commit 10% of their earnings to charity. It's called Aspiration, and if you go to aspiration.com/TYT to sign up, you'll get these perks, and that's more money to spend or to save or to spend. Just treat yourself.